Hello and welcome to a special edition of The Big Show. This is Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, the Dive Bars of Seattle, a Bob Trombley production. How you doing today, Bob?
Hey, now.
We're interested in those roadhouses, watering holes, and lounges with a long history and an interesting backstory. But we're also interested in partying at events thrown by our friends and friends of the show. Lloyd, today we are at Occidental Square for the Pioneer Square Summer Market, an event organized by honorary Dim Light member Lloyd.
Yes, Lloyd Gregory.
It's a street fair, essentially. Arts, crafts, bands, vendors, all the things you love about Seattle in the summertime. It is, and Lloyd did a fabulous job of curating those bands. I've heard 3 of them so far, and all the bands kick ass, Bob. Would you agree?
So if you want to check it out, head over to pictureseattle.online, and there's a full band lineup with videos as well.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
It's a beautiful part of town, if I may say so.
It is, and also here
Special guest
is we're celebrating at the best seat in the house, right across from Occidental Park, where the event is the Meyer. And our listener knows the Meyer and its owner, Avout, frequent contributor to the show, and he's here today. Avout, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
All right. So, Avout, what's the scene here today? Usually you open at 3.
We opened a little early today because we want to accommodate the people who were
Coming down to the event, but...
Yeah, here for the event, and of course the weather didn't help this time, but we wanted to accommodate and make sure that we feel at least we do our part, be part of this event, and have a bit of be the neighbor, be the good neighbor. I love this neighborhood. I think it's got a lot of bad rep over the years for
seedy, general seedy.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's. I don't know. It's the same everywhere you go in Seattle. There's good days, bad days. We've had them here in Pioneer Square. We lost a lot of businesses over the years. I'm glad I'm here. I think this is a beautiful part of town. And I don't know if I've said this before. People like to say how how they miss Seattle and the old times, and it's gone and it will never come back. And I say
the 90s. You should have been here in the 90s.
Yeah, well, go to
Pioneer Square, joint cover. Place was jumping.
Go to Pioneer Square now. This is how it was all the time. It's never changed much. We lost a lot of businesses, but the vibe is still the same. The buildings are there, and correct. Yes.
You're walking into some serious history.
Right.
Right. That's what's so cool about this place.
Right. And not just here. All of Pioneer Square has that. There are at least 100 stories to every post address on this block. You know what I mean? It's been a million things. Every building has lost a million businesses, has lost a million floors over all the earthquakes. This used to be, I believe, a 4-story building at some point. And every earthquake to take one down, and now we're down to 1 floor.
I didn't think it worked that way. I thought the whole building came down.
But there's so much stuff that's happened, and we're not even talking about what's going on below us. The floors below us that used to be the
Seattle
facade.
Underground, and they raised it up.
Yeah, there's a storefront right below us.
Can you access it?
We could.
So in other words, after we're done recording, maybe we can go down.
we know where we're going to go.
We could if it's probably the alarm's probably turned on. But yeah, there's a sign of old barbershop, a tile mosaic sign.
Wow.
Haircuts,
That
5
is cool.
cents, whatever.
Wait, is it your alarm or the city's alarm?
It's the landlord's alarm.
Oh, okay.
I'm not paying enough money to have them turn it off.
Go down there when they respond and just throw a
Nice. So let's talk about, well, actually, I was going to introduce Lloyd at some point, but Lloyd's working his ass off out there.
Lloyd's been a member of the Pioneer Square community for about 5+ years now, and just really enjoys the community and wants to give back. So kind of like Avout said, we love the community and we were going to give back to it. So that's kind of what this party's all about.
And Lloyd threw it on his back, like organizing the bands, organizing the vendors.
Did all the booking, got the permitting. Shout out to Councilwoman Sarah Nelson for coming down here and saying hello as well. part of the community.
Our faithful listener knows that whenever we have a Pioneer Square episode, Lloyd's joined us. So we had Lloyd at Merchants, we had Lloyd at Central.
Yeah, he's been on the mic as well. Yeah,
that's right. So Brad, I believe I asked you to do a little homework for this episode and try to find some history in this building, because all the history since Avout bought the joint, he's going to tell us about. But what was here before?
So, I did a little research in this place. I knew it wasn't a long-standing drinking establishment, even though it looks like it is when you're visiting out here. But it has some cool history. I think probably the coolest chapter from its history was in the 1960s. It operated as Max Seagulls Pawn Shop. Max was a well-known neighborhood fixture. It was a crotchety brand. It was like the definition of a old collection. People in the neighborhood knew him as the happiest pawnbroker in town.
He was like Rod Steiger in the pawnbroker.
Yeah, so really cool dude. In 1961, a newspaper reporter was doing a piece on one of the local neighborhoods. They popped into Max's place. And this is what he told them. Quote unquote. Pawn shop business, I had a good hardware store on the waterfront I ran for 38 years. Why I sold it to go to the pawn shop business, I'll never know. I've lived in Seattle for 65 years, and the saddest day of my life was when I got mixed up in a pawn shop.
We had a nickel.
Now, we do have a few crime stories associated with Max.
Oh, really? Is this Satan's Pilgrims? Time to call up the squad car, Satan's. We got a double homicide.
Started the same way, was most of them, with the exception of one armed robbery, were just people that were coming in, they did the typical kind of grab and go. They would grab something valuable off the counter, like maybe on the shoulder watch or something, and as soon as they got it in their hands, they would swing out the door. Now, Max owned a German Shepherd named Princess, okay? So I think you guys can see where this is going as far as how we brought Princess as a German Shepherd with him every day to work. So whenever someone came in and started some shenanigans or some nonsense, he would whistle and Princess would come around the corner, and that's where it ended.
Princess would give him the business.
As far as the success of the robberies, there was a 0% success rate with Princess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Princess the Wonder Dog. Yeah.
Literally.
That's amazing. Why don't more people do it, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Hire some out-of-shape guy to stand there and not be afraid to do anything because he's getting sued.
Shepherd's are hardwired for that. They're just waiting for the moment that someone can come in and rob the place so they can just go in action, right?
The man himself.
The man himself.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
The man of the hour.
What are you finding in the Meyer here?
Right on. You hear that voice? Lloyd is here. Lloyd.
How's it
just
going?
Talking about you. So you worked your ass off to put this together, am I right?
Yeah, a little bit every day, though. Really not. It wasn't really a work at my ass off kind of thing. It was just like nibbling away at it for about a year. I put out a survey to all the businesses. 9 months ago, I saw the post, and it was, you're going to enjoy this, Brad, time for another potlatch, right? And if you look at our music lineup, we threw a potlatch here. Everybody's represented both like ethnically and culturally through music, you know what I mean? Like right now there's a punk band playing. Say it again.
All you need is a boisterous parade.
Right. Well, there was a boisterous parade.
Puppy parade.
A puppy parade and pooch pageant, and it was quite a good time. We got streamers for all the kids, so the kids walk dogs, and they kind of look like sparklers, which is why I like them, except they're not flammable. You flip them around like the gymnasts have, Ship, 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 ship.
Mm-hmm.
They whip their hands around like the streamers. Shoo, shoo.
Yeah,
So the kids walked around with those little streamers on a stick, walking dogs.
And what was the inspiration for this party, Lloyd?
I think I see where you were going with this.
potlatch.
You're like,
Yeah, totally, the
it wasn't
potlatch.
all the cool neighborhoods have street fairs. Why not Pioneer Square?
Right, totally. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Why does the first original neighborhood, I think, arguably the prettiest neighborhood, the most culturally significant neighborhood outside of Chinatown, why didn't it have its own block party? It seemed kind of ridiculous. And then you find out, like, all you have to do to throw a block party is throw a block party.
It's that simple. What, you have to get some special permits and stuff. I assume.
Yeah.
Actually, no, this is all unpermitted. If you hear the cops,
No,
everyone's
there's part of me that thinks I could have got away without one. Because like the band that's playing now, no, for real, the band that's playing right now is part of it. And I should be watching them. The Beverly Crusher. The Beverly Crusher, is that the greatest name ever after the Star Trek surgeon?
Yes,
Well, they're
right?
a punk band that threw a party with like five or so other bands, Shayna Shepherd included, in Judkins Park, mid-pandemic, high times pandemic, because they were like, why? Right? Everybody else gets to do some bullshit out in the streets, whatever, right? Yeah, so they just went to the park and they put on a concert. And it was
Without
fantastic.
masks.
So it was the most punk rock thing I've.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty punk rock.
Yeah, it's so punk rock, and they're a literal punk band, right? Like a hardcore band.
All right, the listener has another question.
Yeah.
You got to tell us, guys, what's a potlatch?
Potlatch. Well, I think it's one of those.
Potluck?
Yeah, well, that's what they say it comes from.
I think it was
What's the-
Chinook jargon.
Chinook jargon, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a big celebration, like exchange of gifts and a big feast.
That's right. Thanks. Yeah. So
all
what
that.
it was, and I'm not sure if it's real or Chinook Wawa. So they had big parties, and how you earn status. The potlatch was all about giving, like giving, like
Like
the
a
biggest
white
party.
Santa party.
What?
What's it called?
White elephant?
White elephant. Thank you.
Yeah, but you brought something, or
Somebody's
it's
called in my
actually
house.
it's mostly thrown by a few people that could afford to throw a party for everybody they loved, which is everybody, right?
So this
And-
is the first annual Pioneer Square potlatch.
It is.
what you're
No, it's no. Did you ever see the logo? It's like a potlatch totem.
Because it was the potlatch was
Yeah, I love it, and it's on my coloring books. I made coloring books there, so I still think it's the return of the golden potlatch, whether we call it that or not. You know, like we're here.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And
Very
then
nice.
what I loved about it, and what you guys are gonna like, I know you're into it, is they called it organized optimism, and in the early Optimist Club. You know, like it started there, and our first Father's Day started in June during the first potlatch. Well, like one of the first
Seattle
celebrations of
invented
Father's
Father's
Day.
Is that what you're saying?
It was part of the potlatch parade was the Father's Parade, and fathers got to walk with their kids through the center, and people like clap. You know?
Very nice. So
Yeah.
yeah, you've done a good job here today. The bands are killer. Let's give a shout out to some of the people. This isn't going to be broadcast till then, but Beverly Crusher is on
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Quick rundown of the lineup, Lloyd, if you could.
Sure.
Yeah.
We started with Mr. Chatman, friend of mine from the neighborhood, but long time Rasta man, dance hall reggae guy.
Folk
Nice.
Life,
Then we
you
went-
might have seen him. He closes out Folk Life every weekend, every year.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then AG Joints, hip
Shout out
hop
to
artist.
AG.
Yeah,
Hip-hop?
super great from Tacoma.
Yeah.
And he's
Boom bap
like,
style.
watch his videos on Instagram. Like his videos are really great. Like he's a machinist, so he'll hear beats like come down from the machines, and then he'll like have these like quizzical looks on his face in the video, and then like boom, whatever, and like his beats flow from these like industrial sounds.
90s boom bap style.
Yeah, and that was
great
only the
kid.
second act. So there was Cherry Ferrari.
Oh, yeah,
That's
shout
a
out to
great
Cherry
name,
Ferrari.
Cherry Ferrari.
Yeah, they're great.
Is that
Pilot
the punk
Seat.
band, right?
No, they're a boy-girl pop band. So
Yeah,
sweet.
Almost like new wave. Well, not new wave, but yeah.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Cherry Ferrari.
And then
like you're a member of the Runaways.
Cherry Ferrari.
right, yeah. and Pinky Tuscadero. That was her sidekick, right? And then mid-pack, these guys from up north that just lay down the
I think
funk.
that's who you heard.
That's
Lou.
who. When we were coming back, we heard that.
And then, now the Beverly Crusher who's playing, and they're really going hard. I gotta go.
Yeah.
But no, then there's one more band, Reposado, which lay down. They're called Tequila
Is that
Funk.
5
They're kind
p.m.?
of like if James Brown was led by a Cuban Afro all-star, you know, like he's a, I don't know.
Nice.
You know, like that. You remember
band.
that
Huge
album that came out? Cuban, yeah, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. What?
I think I know where you're going with this. That sort of.
It's just funk, swing, call and response. It's gonna send the crowd out just like feeling good.
Right on. Sorry, everybody, you missed it.
Yeah.
Well, until the next one.
Sounds. I'm gonna go get some sounds now.
All right, Lloyd's going to get back to it. Thank you for making a minute.
Joining us, Lloyd.
All right. And there's Lloyd working his ass off.
Shucking
So,
and jiving.
Avout, we've got to go back to you. We've got to talk about. We're sitting in a booth, and there's something on the table.
Hot secret.
It's a very nice bull rug.
Which, if our listeners remember, it has been referenced before in our earlier podcast. This has been.
That's
talked
right.
about.
We talked about the Meyer a little bit at the
On the tables. Rugs on the
at
table.
the Jules Mays episode, because Avout, you're also
Yeah.
the originator of what you now know as Jules Mays.
Yes.
What's up with rugs on the bar? I'm throwing up on it, I'm sweating on it, I'm spilling my drink, and these are real wool rugs. You can't throw them in the washing machine.
No, you can. Well, you can, but they don't come out
By the
right.
way, that's why we don't invite Lou to our houses.
No, this is not a Tide commercial. Yeah, these are just
It's a Dutch thing.
Yeah, if you go to a Dutch neighborhood bar, I'm not saying that every Dutch neighborhood bar has these rugs, but it's a classic detail in an old school Dutch neighborhood bar. And I wanted to, I know it was foreign enough for the average American to wonder what the hell is a rug doing in a bar. And I don't know. I don't know why they have them in Holland, but it looks good.
And it's wonderful. It warms it up.
It
the
does,
neighborhood.
yeah.
It makes it like you're
Very
in-
homey.
The difference.
You're in a little house. It adds so much.
The difference is that the Dutch bar rug you can pick up from the table and you can set it up right in the corner of the room, and it's all crusty and it won't fold. These we replace every year.
Oh, and the
And,
Dutch
uh,
bars,
there-
those are the
there's a
same ones that
description.
have been there forever.
I think so. Yes.
That crusty rug description is the kind of description you don't need an image to confirm it.
Right. It's crazy. Even the tassels are crusty, but not our tassels. Come to the Meyer. Our tassels are
not the
soft.
tassels here.
Yeah,
Clean tassels.
This is a nice place, folks.
This is top notch.
Top-notch
You
tassel.
spill your beer elsewhere.
No, we scrub. I scrub the puke out of it if it need be. I do that. We try to be nice.
I'll
But,
make it out to the street this time, I promise.
Yeah.
And you got a great selection of beers on tap. You got 2 full tap handles. Jeremy, you want to do a little mini what you drinking?
Yeah, let's do
The
it.
owner's
Let's do
here,
it.
so don't bag on his tap handles.
I won't. In fact, just the opposite. There's a lot to unpack with what's on tap. Also, I think one of the first times we talked about what's in cans, like 99.9% of the time we're talking about draft stuff, so we'll talk about some cans. But yeah, like I said, it's a split of various tap handles. Another interesting phenomenon, what's on tap here. We kicked off this podcast talking about one local beer that we just kept seeing over and over, and that was...
Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks.
No, Bodhisattva,
Oh, that
right?
one. Yeah.
And we talked about how common or how frequent we've seen it in dive bars, and how that thumbs up from all of us because it's a fucking great beer. But I think this emphasizes a beer that might be knocking that off its post, and this is the Sea Pine IPA, which is another beer we found at quite a few dive bars, and it's double thumbs up because it's a fucking great beer, right? So
We talked about this before, how Sea Pine is kind of like climbing up and becoming almost kind of the dominant beer that you see the most.
Yeah, amen. Because if we see it in places like this, then glory, hallelujah. Yeah.
And you have Nazi punks fuck off in cans.
And yes, I was going to wait till what you drinking for Brad, because literally you are drinking that.
I'm drinking a can of Nazi Punks Fuck Off, of course, the classical Dead Kennedy song. It's made by Future Primitive Brewing here in Seattle. I've never heard of it before. I've never had it before, but it's actually a really good German-style Pilsner. And I give it a thumbs up taste-wise.
Nice.
And it sounds like, from what we've been discussing here, that Nazi Punks Fuck Off has got the potential to be quite a dive bar popular hot seller. Because...
Well, I don't. I have to be honest with you. I don't really get involved in the beer selection as I used to. I've never even tried the beer, to be honest. Here's the funny thing. Ever since I moved to the States, I kind of switched from beer to drinking liquor. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But I do like my pilsners and lagers. Not a big IPA drinker.
Yeah.
But of course, we try to stay true to our Seattle neighborhood, the neighborhood bar that we are,
Right.
and provide local products.
You serve what the locals are drinking.
And so
Totally.
back in the day, there was a lot of Mac and Jacks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But things have changed so much.
Yep.
There's a ton of breweries all over the place now.
Do you have Georgetown here? I can't remember.
Well, that's what. Yeah, Bodhisattva.
Yeah,
and,
this Manny's on tap right now.
Yeah. So the cool thing about those guys is that they do offer, different products at a reasonable price, because we are not necessarily a beer bar where we have 600 handles. We only have 12 or 8 or 9, and we can't have every IPA in the in the neighborhood on our taps. It's just impossible. And we actually lost. It kind of pains me. We lost our Heineken handle because of COVID. That's impossible to get anymore. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, supply chain thing?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know why we couldn't get it, but we didn't.
Another one bites the dust.
So Heineken is around, but not here at the Meyer. But we still have the whole flip tops.
I think what you just described is possibly a very much a Seattle phenomenon. I don't know if it's a Northwest phenomenon, but the fact that we're in a dive bar in Seattle, and how we're not a big bar, but we have 12 handles, right? So I mean, when you think of, there's a lot of air. Yeah, it totally is a lot of great, and these are all awesome draft beers to have on tap. And other bars in other parts of the world, you're going to get one or two. Right. One of those is going to be like a Miller Lite or a Coors Light or a Bud Light or something like that, and then something fancy like Corona.
American Standard on tap, like Bud Light, Coors.
Yeah, there's a PBR over there, and
PBR, Dive Bar
Stalwart.
Staple.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Coors Light is over there.
Oh, you got the Silver Bullet on tap.
That's right.
You serve what the people drink, man.
And which is great nowadays. Everybody's rooting for Bud Light, right?
No.
But where you're at, this is, the parade starts here for the Sounders games, the March to the Match, they call it.
Yes.
And that starts in Occidental Square right across the street.
Correct.
So you're probably serving a lot of Buds and Bud Lights to the stadium crowd, right?
Yeah, but that is very dependent on the crowd. You know, baseball, soccer, football. These people are vastly different, in what they do and how they. A baseball crowd doesn't necessarily drink all that much.
Fucking pussies, is that what you're calling
The soccer crowd is drinking Bud Lights. I would imagine them getting hammered on IPAs going on their parts.
Correct, but I think the soccer guys are on a mission. They go to the match and then they come here to drink afterwards. Football people are drinking from the trailer and then or the back of the pickup truck and go to and drink all day. It's just different.
Tailgate.
The tailgate.
They BYOB.
What's that?
So it's more session style beers, daytime.
Yeah, and also depends on who your opponent is. I mean, it's a
When
Blue
Houston
Jays,
comes to town, look out.
as opposed to the Blue Jays, a different kind of people. The Canadians from Vancouver, you know,
They're looking
not,
for a Labatt's.
Yeah, I don't know what. The Labats and the
Molson.
Molson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had. I think we did have Molson on tap for one. I forget what the event was. Maybe it was some Canadian.
Kokanee.
I can't remember. Anyways.
Kokanee.
Oh yeah, Kokanee. What's that? How do you pronounce? Kokanee.
Whenever those Toronto people are in town, I cannot sell enough Coke. It's just flying out the door here.
But you know, we are not necessarily. I don't think this place is anything in particular. It's but it does have a character. I do believe it has a character. You know, if you walk into Meyer, this is not like any other bar.
No, it definitely has.
But we're not trying to be a beer bar or a cocktail lounge or whatever it is. We're a little bit of all, you know, and
It's a neighborhood
It's
bar.
its own thing.
it's a neighborhood bar. Yes.
It was just kind of a blank canvas, I assume. It's like nothing here was empty.
It was 4 walls and a floor.
So were you kind of the head designer and architect, so to speak?
Yeah. No,
Avout's a man of many talents for our listener that hasn't met him in person. So
well, you
you
see,
didn't have to just pay a guy and think of a bar. You pretty much had a plan and did a lot of the work.
well, I don't know, man. I hate to say this, but there was no plan. It was just
Like I got these stools from somewhere, and I got this bar from
Online.
somewhere, and I'm gonna make it nice.
But I did have I do have, you know, whenever I get myself involved in situations like these, I do have a vision about what it needs to look like. I mean, I've been in enough bars in my life to know what I like and what I don't like, you know. And it's about you got to create a vibe, and as much as it's about drinking alcohol, your favorite alcohol, it's less about what kind of brand you're selling and more about what makes people feel comfortable coming here, you know. And
That's a good way to put it.
And
that's exactly
the
how
rug
it
and the
feels
rugs.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even like the lighting, I'm looking around. There's no bright lighting. It's all like kind of soft, ambient lighting,
Right.
different colors.
Yeah.
And you know, you had to kind of put that together.
Yeah, but lighting is key, and you go to so many places where they totally screwed it
Yeah,
up.
it's like
you know.
I walked into IKEA. It's
Right,
just
exactly.
fucking
Yeah,
bright.
it's like okay.
Exposed and the ceilings looks way far away. And
Yeah,
If you go into a bar and it reminds you of an IKEA, should probably leave.
the IKEA bar.
Nothing wrong with IKEA, but
yeah,
No, but that's exactly it. And they probably went there for their light fixtures, and it looks like shit. It looks like I'm sorry. Is this for a Sunday broadcast? Can I swear? Or no?
yeah, no, you can say all those words.
Okay.
Highly irreverent.
It is just, you know, you got to take the extra effort in making the place look acceptable by hiding what is not important, and you know, other things pop up. These little lights here on the table, you know, that's the only light we have here, but it creates a vibe. I mean, everybody looks pretty
Yes, the
right
wall
now.
sconces in the booths will make everybody look fabulous. So come on down to the Meyer.
Yeah, I
Come
mean,
on down and get some.
it's nothing. I don't think it's rocket science.
Well, did you take into account where you're at when you were building it?
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah.
square, like I want to fit in here.
Yeah, no, this location, as you look at the windows and all the trees and everything, you know, and the old buildings, it just has a vibe, you know. And again, people like to trash talk Pioneer Square, but I don't think they come here very often. We're going to a bit of there's a basketball flying by. We're going to a bit of a tough spot, or we have been, but things are definitely looking, you know, better, and people are opening up businesses. So I'm definitely not the only person who sees the beauty of this neighborhood.
Oh yeah, we never talk trash about Pioneer Square here at Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks. We celebrate Pioneer Square.
Good.
Yeah.
Has there been a neighborhood we've been to that wasn't celebratory in one way or another, right? We're there for the bars. The neighborhoods anchor the place. And the history and the vibe and the enjoyment we have definitely extends those fantastic neighborhoods. Yeah.
And as a master segue, let's do a little mini where we're at. Since we're talking about Pioneer Square.
Where are we
Good
at?
self-intro there.
Yeah.
Lou.
We've been here several times, so our listener knows all the history of Pioneer Square. So let's talk about exactly where we're at. We all know Henry Yesler built a sawmill here, and boom, the town started. But we're right across the street from Occidental Park, Avout, and you're here. It's called Occidental Park. It's also called Occidental Square. That's what most people think of it. I think it's technically both, but it's not. If you've never been here, it's not like bring the blanket and let the kids run around. No,
It's not that kind of park.
it's not. It's a square.
It can be, but
It's
generally not.
cobblestone streets. Yeah, you will see people sleeping on blankets there. But Avout, so you're here in the mornings. You're here in the afternoons. You're here at night, right across the street from Occidental Park. So tell us what's the scene in Occidental Park.
Well, it depends on the time of day. And in all honesty, I'm not often here at night, like late at night. Weeknights, when I'm here late, it's usually a little quiet, with just people who are here dining, or maybe there was a baseball game or something, people getting out of the game. But other than that, I don't see a lot of street people, for instance,
Really?
because they are.
During the pandemic, this was the camp, probably.
Oh
right?
yeah, no. During the pandemic, the whole downtown was
Was a camp.
Yeah.
And I'd say this is the first summer it kind of feels like it's almost kind of feels like it's back to where
Yes.
it kind of feels
Yeah.
like it's about there.
Yeah, it was there. It was like that last year, but there were definitely flare-ups, and I don't want to be disrespectful to people who have to live their lives on the streets. It's just a different vibe today than 2 years ago.
Definitely.
And I think it also has to do with the fact that there are a lot of people in this neighborhood that are trying to help homeless folks, and they have shelters here where they go at night, and as opposed to maybe a place like Belltown or something where there's less of that.
And also shout out for the day-to-day, the DSA, the Downtown Seattle Association, and the Metro Ambassadors. They've really helpful for the community, at large. So shout out. Much
Right on.
appreciated.
I do have one of the cool things in Occidental Park. The most striking feature is that bronze statue of the four
Fireman.
firefighters. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's very striking. The detail and the kinetic aspect of the statues is very impressive.
I'd agree.
It was made in 1995. It's also kind of funny, like if you're coming from the game and you might be kind of fucked up. I walked right into him when I first saw him one night, coming from a game, and they're really pointing their cannons right at you, and they're very lifelike. I love that sculpture, but it was made in 95 as a tribute to 4 firefighters that lost their lives in the Chinatown
Yes, I was gonna
warehouse
ask,
fire.
Yeah.
And it's also a tribute to all firefighters that have lost their life in the line of duty. But the story of the fire that inspired that sculpture is really cool. It's kind of crazy and ultimately a sad story, so I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this beautiful day, so let me just give you the overview. So the building was owned and operated by Mary Pang's Food Products. Theirs was an American success story in 1963. They started their own brand of frozen Chinese food, very successful. And their adopted son was a total shitbird of a human being who fancied himself a playboy, but he was really just a trust fund jackass, schmuck. And the frozen food business started declining in the 90s, and he started pressuring his parents. You need to sell that building, you need to get rid of it, this isn't going anywhere, and they refused. And he started telling his friends, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to burn it down so that we can get the insurance money for it. And so when he actually did set it on fire, it was no shortage of evidence that he was the one that did it. And he was on the run. And so when the blaze started and the firefighters got there, they made good progress, and they thought the fire was out. But what they didn't know was that there was a basement in the place that you couldn't tell. It was an unpermitted aftermarket changes. So the whole first floor was sitting on what are called stem walls. And essentially they're not carefully designed for load-bearing purposes. And the fire had crept into the basement. So they thought they had it out. They saw there was a fire in a back room, and like 12 guys went in to put it out. And once they got in, they realized it was super hot in there, like way hot for a fire in the back room. And the lieutenant was like, "Oh shit, everybody get out." But it was too late, and the floor collapsed. And 4 people like fell 20 feet into an inferno.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like a real life backdraft.
Yeah.
What year did that happen again?
No, 95, the first year I moved to town.
Yeah, do you remember what a big story that was?
No, I just moved to town. Because it happened in January, and I got here like in February or March.
It was big local news when it happened.
Oh, really? Yeah, and it also became an international kind of crime story because the guy went to his place in SoCal. Well, I'll just say I was in SoCal when the fire happened. And then he heard 4 firefighters died. And he was like, oh, shit. And he went to Mexico. And then he heard the DA is charging you with 4 murder charges. So he went to Brazil because they didn't have a clear extradition. Exactly. And the way it works is like you're in Brazil, it would be manslaughter if someone died in your arson fire. And so they negotiated, and this is where the city, we take care of our own, right? We'll get you. And they said, we're not bringing him back unless you drop those charges down to manslaughter. And they're like, okay, yeah, come on back. That manslaughter's fine. And they just threw the book at him. So he was thinking, 10 years, I'll be out in 5. It was 35, and he didn't get out until...
No leniency.
Yeah, they denied parole every time automatically, and he did 25 years. I think he just got out this year.
Pretty recently,
Yeah. So firefighters go down, cops go down, you're going down too. Hard. Our last episode from Finney Ridge, they chased a guy to Southern California just for shooting at
$30.
I don't know, man.
$30.
25 years.
They take care of their own.
They do take care of their own. Yeah. So that's the one where we're at story I got. Oh, we should say in honor of Pride March, the first Pride March in 77 started.
That's right.
here.
This is early June. We're tipping it off.
That's right.
Our previous episode at the Crescent, it talked about all sorts of Pride events coming up.
Right on. That's all we got, Avout.
Well,
Want to knock it on the head?
no, I tell people. I just want to tell people to come to Pioneer Square.
Yes.
I always
Come
get
to the
frustrated.
Meyer.
Yeah, I always get a little frustrated when I see postings on Facebook about how a particular business closed. And the first thing is people are ranting about how the whole city has gone to hell in a handbasket. And you don't know why these people closed. That might be bad business. It might be a million reasons. And nobody talks about all the businesses that endured the pandemic, businesses that have been here forever, and businesses that are opening here today. It's primarily, I see it as a positive story. I love being here. I love Pioneer Square. I think the city has a gem in its hands, and they should be promoting this. You know.
Yeah. Here for sure.
There's more to the city of Seattle than just a market and Capitol
That's
Hill.
right.
And
we
this-
should also say
This neighborhood does, and always will have some fantastic restaurants, some fantastic bars like we're in here, and there's a vibrant art scene. There's some amazing galleries.
Definitely.
There is wine bars. There's bookstores, vinyl.
Bon Voyage Vintage.
Some amazing vintage shops in this neighborhood, and it's amazing that you can be in a dive bar. And one thing that's fun about being in the dive bar is you can feel that neighborhood. And
It's a neighborhood that has unique flavors that no other city has. This is the Seattle version of it. So if you see this, you see something that's truly Seattle, and not another Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but because that's everywhere else, and And I'm sure a lot of cities in the U.S. have neighborhoods like these, and by God, support it, because that's what the city is all about.
It's a very good point. No Bed Bath & Beyond in Pioneer Square.
No Old Navy,
Nope.
sorry.
Nope. Wasn't here, isn't here now, never will be.
No Urban Outfitters. And we also, our listener that's got
Although
a keen
there's one
ear.
like 3 blocks up, but whatever.
Yeah.
Pottery barn.
Pottery Barn. Avout also owns Shorty's, Coney Island, and Belltown, pinball, and hot dogs. And if you come here, you get the same experience. Little mini Shorties. He's got 3 machines at the back right now. Black Knight, Elvira, and Wizard of Oz. 3 amazing machines. We got the same dog menu. You come on down, get a dog. If you've heard like what sounds like the band was kicking in, we're actually right in front of a basketball hoop shooting. That's what that is. All right,
They got a bad drummer. My God.
Keith Moon.
We got one more shout out to give to the house band, Satan's Pilgrims. Actually, Satan's Pilgrims are best friends with Avout, which is how we got to know them. Dim Lights got to know Satan's through Avout.
John is on his way, but I don't think he's going to make it on time.
Yep, Satan's bass player is on the way tonight into town. They also are playing with Pink Martini. They just announced they're going to be at...
When and where is that?
It's going to be at Chateau Ste. Michelle on August 27th.
I am definitely
Pink
going to see that
Martini
show.
and Satan's Pilgrims.
Definitely see
And
that show.
Satan's Pilgrims' new album is out, which is a collaboration with Satan's and Thomas Lauderdale, the
Correct.
piano player from Pink
Yeah.
Martini. So it's served with this
30 years in the making.
classical piano on top. It's amazing. I love it.
They've been working on that for
25 years, yeah.
and then,
Thomas Lauderdale became kind of enamored with the Pilgrims, and they live in Portland, and they started just jamming together and writing songs over the years, and they're finally all out. And so check out the new album, Satan's Pilgrims meets Thomas Lauderdale. Come see him at Chateau Ste. Michelle on August 27th. Avout will be there. I'll be there.
We'll all be there.
I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
All
We'll all
right.
be there.
I am definitely going
All right. So with that, let's knock it on the head. Satan's Pilgrims,
Will you be
take us out.
peddling your Louis merchandise? You'll be Louis hats?
You know what, Avout, I am so glad. I'm reaching into my pocket right now and pulling out our new Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks stickers.
Oh, stickers! Oh my God!
But I am super, super disappointed we don't
Oh, yeah,
have
look
the
at that.
coasters
For the
yet.
beer cooler.
We're working on it. Very soon we'll have the coasters. We've got a banner in the works, all sorts of crazy merch and shit to support the podcast and the crew. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Avout.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you soon.